The day my mother's nursing home called to say her account was empty, I was sitting in my car, staring at the eviction notice taped to my apartment door. I had just lost my job, my savings, and my dignity. But losing my mother's care was the final blow. She had Alzheimer's, a slow, cruel thief that had already stolen her memories, her voice, her recognition of my face. The nursing home was the only thing keeping her safe. And now, because of me, she was going to be thrown out. I thought I had hit rock bottom. I was wrong. The real bottom was still waiting, hidden in the pages of a ledger I never knew existed. My name is Rosalind Hayes, and until that year, I thought I understood the difference between family loyalty and financial betrayal. My older brother, Marcus, was my hero growing up. He was 8 years older, handsome, confident, the one who protected me from bullies and taught me how to ride a bike. When our father died, Marcus took over the family construction business. I trusted him completely. I gave him power of attorney over our mother's affairs when she was diagnosed. I signed papers he put in front of me without reading them. I was grieving, overwhelmed, and desperate for someone to lean on. He was my brother. He would never hurt us. The signs were there, of course. I see them now, glaring and obvious. The way he avoided my calls. The way he changed the subject when I asked about finances. The way he insisted that I focus on my own life, my own career, while he handled everything. I was a graphic designer, busy with clients, barely making ends meet. I didn't have time to question him. I didn't have the energy. I just trusted him. When the nursing home called, I drove straight to Marcus's office. He wasn't there. His assistant told me he had sold the business 6 months ago and moved to Florida. Sold the business. Our father's business. The company that had been in our family for 40 years. Gone. Without a word to me. I stood in the empty lobby, my hands shaking, my mind refusing to process the information. I called his phone. Disconnected. I called his wife. She didn't answer. I called his children. They hadn't heard from him in months. I hired a private investigator with the last of my savings. It took her 3 weeks to find him. Marcus was living in a gated community outside Miami, in a house worth over $2 million. He had a boat, a new car, a new life. And he had drained every account connected to our mother. Her savings, her pension, the proceeds from the sale of our father's business. All of it, over $3 million, funneled into accounts in his name alone. He had left me with nothing. He had left our mother with nothing. He had stolen her future, her safety, her dignity. I flew to Florida. I knocked on his door at 7 a.m., before he could hide. He opened it, still in his bathrobe, his face cycling through shock, guilt, and then something worse, annoyance. "Rosalind," he said, as if I were an inconvenience. "You shouldn't have come." I pushed past him into the marble foyer. "You stole Mom's money, Marcus. $3 million. She's going to be kicked out of her nursing home because of you." He sighed, closed the door, and leaned against the wall. "It's not that simple," he said. "The business was failing. I had to sell. I took what I was owed." "Owed? You were her power of attorney. You were supposed to protect her." He shrugged. "I did protect her. 4 years. I'm tired, Rosalind. I've been carrying this family for decades. It's my turn to live." I stared at him, this stranger wearing my brother's face, and felt something break inside me. Not the soft, sad break of grief. A clean, sharp break, like a bone snapping under pressure. "You're going to give it back," I said. "Every penny." He laughed. "Or what? You'll sue me. With what money? You'll call the police. They'll say it's a civil matter. You have nothing, Rosalind. You've always had nothing. I'm the one who built something. I'm the one who deserves this." I left. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just walked out, got in my rental car, and drove to the airport. On the plane, I made a list. Not of names, like my mother's ledger, but of steps. A plan. I would not let him win. I would not let my mother die in a state-funded facility, forgotten and alone. I would find a way to take back what he stole. I would become someone he would never see coming. That was 3 years ago. Today, Marcus is bankrupt, divorced, and living in a studio apartment he can barely afford. His boat was repossessed. His house is in foreclosure. His children won't speak to him. And my mother is still in her nursing home, in a private room with a window that looks out on a garden. She doesn't remember my name anymore, but she smiles when I hold her hand. And that is enough. This is the story of how I took back everything my brother stole. Not with violence, not with lawsuits, but with patience, strategy, and the one thing he never expected, his own greed. The ledger of lies is finally balanced. And I am the one who holds the pen. After I left Marcus's mansion in Florida, I made a promise to myself. I would not let anger consume me. I would not let grief paralyze me. I would use the only weapon I had left, my mind. I had no money for lawyers, no connections in high places, no family to support me. But I had something Marcus didn't expect: patience. I started small. I gathered every document I could find: bank statements, emails, text messages, anything that showed the trail of stolen money. I contacted my mother's former doctors, her nursing home administrators, her financial advisors. Most were sympathetic, but few could help. The legal system was designed for people with resources, not for broke graphic designers fighting against a brother who had covered his tracks. Then I found an old accountant who had worked for my father. His name was Harold, and he was retired, living in a small town 3 hours away. I drove to see him, showed him what I had, and asked for advice. He looked at the papers for a long time, then said something I never expected. Your father was a cautious man. He kept duplicate records of everything. He didn't trust digital files. He might have left something behind. We spent the weekend searching through boxes in Harold's garage. And there, buried under decades of tax returns, we found it. A second set of books. My father had kept a hidden ledger, recording every major transaction, every loan, every transfer. It showed that Marcus had been siphoning money from the business for years, long before our father died. It showed that the failing business Marcus claimed to have sold was actually thriving, until he stripped it bare. I had the proof I needed. But taking it to the police wasn't enough. Marcus had lawyers, money, and the ability to drag the case out for years. I needed something faster, something that would force him to settle. I needed to hit him where it hurt: his reputation. I contacted every major client his construction company had ever worked with. I sent them anonymous letters, detailing the fraud, the theft, the betrayal. I contacted his lenders, his partners, even his neighbors in the gated community. I didn't make threats. I just shared the truth. Within months, Marcus was untouchable. His business partners dropped him. His lenders called in their loans. His neighbors started whispering. The life he had stolen began to collapse. He tried to fight back. He hired lawyers, sent cease and desist letters, even tried to sue me for defamation. But he couldn't prove I was the source of the leaks. I had been too careful. And the evidence I had gathered was too damning. His lawyers advised him to settle. I didn't want money. I wanted my mother's care. I wanted her to live out her remaining years in dignity. In the settlement, Marcus agreed to transfer ownership of the remaining assets back to our mother's trust. He agreed to pay for her nursing home expenses for the rest of her life. He agreed to resign from every board and position he held. And he agreed to never contact me or our mother again. I signed. He signed. It was over. Today, my mother doesn't remember who Marcus is. She doesn't remember the money, the betrayal, the years of struggle. She just knows that I visit her every week, that I bring her flowers, that I hold her hand. She smiles when she sees me, even if she doesn't know my name. That smile is worth more than all the millions Marcus stole. Marcus lives in a small studio apartment now. His wife divorced him. His children won't speak to him. His health is failing. I don't visit him. I don't call. I don't think about him, except when I remember that trust is a gift, not a given. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. The best revenge is not destruction. It is building a life so full, so peaceful, that the person who wronged you becomes irrelevant. Protect what matters. Let go of the rest.